So you had Hades in the original. This is like Thanatos. Like, you have the god of the underworld, and then you have the god of death. This is death incarnate. Holy shit. What's going on, you bunch of heathens? Today we're going to be checking out Megaprojects again, this time on the F-15EX. Or EX, I should say. And I can't wait to see what the US has come up this time, because I don't know anything about this version of the F-15. So let's jump into it.
When America needs defending, you call in the Eagles. For going on 50 years, the McDonnell Douglas, today Boeing, F-15 Eagle, has been America's frontline workhorse among its fighter jet arsenal.
Hell yeah, one of the sexiest there is, too.
Between a 104-0 win-loss rate in direct aerial combat, spots of honor in the Air Forces of some of America's most important allies, and its exceptional reliability and longevity as a platform, the F-15 and its descendant aircraft have distinguished themselves at every turn. Now, even in the US Air Force that has not one but two cutting-edge fighter aircraft at its disposal, both with globally unmatched capabilities, the F-15 still manages to keep pace. Yet, for all its combat glory, for all its critical acclaim, the F-15 still manages to keep one special secret, that despite still sharing its shape and size with the plane that existed 50 years ago, the F-15 of today is an entirely different beast than its outwardly identical, but far more antiquated carbon copy.
Okay, sorry about that. I had some fucking technical difficulties for some reason.
Now, as we speak, a new iteration of the F-15 is rolling off the production line for the very first time, poised to become one of the very best weapons of America's wartime arsenal. This is the story of the Boeing F-15EX Eagle II, the successor aircraft meant to take the reins from the F-15 Eagle and push America's Air Force to newer and greater heights.
Just before we continue with today's video, I want to tell you about something that's been a game changer for so many guys out there, but not for me, because I am super bald, and that is Keeps. Now look, as I just said, I'm already
6
bald.
months,
Some of
we're
you
going to watch this
might
one
be
through.
just going bald. You might be thinking you are going to go bald because your whole family is bald. This was me in my early 20s. And you might be thinking I'd like to have my hair a little bit longer, and that's where Keeps comes in. Look, if it was 10 years ago, oh god, 15 years ago now. I've been bald a long time. I'd be all over Keeps. It's an online subscription service that makes it super easy and affordable for men to tackle male pattern baldness from the comfort of their home. No more awkward doctor's visits or trips to the pharmacy. Just complete an online consultation and a licensed medical provider will tailor a treatment plan specifically for you. And the best part, they deliver the treatment right to your door in discreet packaging so you can it's isn't it? It's nice of them to go to the doctor and the pharmacy and be like, no, just definitely losing my hair. Nothing. You can choose delivery options of 3, 6, or 12 months, and you can adjust, pause, or cancel your plan anytime. Keeps offer clinically proven treatments that will stimulate hair growth, plus hair thickening shampoo, conditioner, and styling pomade. Make your hair look its best. God, it's been a long time since I've used any of that stuff. And here's a fun fact, over the last 6 years, Keeps have treated over 1 million men. That's a lot of happy guys with great hair. Oh, rub it in, why don't you, Keeps, with your ad copy? Thank you to Keeps for sponsoring this video. For a special offer to get started, go to keeps.com/Simon.
Quite a few people that were fucking helped by it.
That's keeps.com/Simon. And now back to today's video.
Yes.
The original F-15 Eagle traces its lineage back to the beginnings of its development program in the mid-1960s, when an American adversary learned the hard way that when potential future battlefield enemies brag about platforms that aren't really all that behind the scenes, the United States tends to respond not by trying to get a look at the thing, but by engineering a bigger, badder platform as their answer. In this case, it was the MiG-25 Foxbat interceptor aircraft out of Russia, boasting extreme high speeds at high altitude and convincing America that it was about to be outclassed. The answer was the first generation F-15. And while the Foxbat turned out to be a bit of a dud, the F-15, it didn't. Boasting maximum speeds at 2.5 times the speed of sound, flying at over twice the altitude of a modern-day commercial airliner, and capable of carrying enough ordnance to make a contemporary Soviet pilot just eject and save himself the dogfight, the Eagle was a crowning achievement for the United States in the half-century-long Cold War. Fast forward another half-century, though, and the problems that led to the Eagle II weren't quite so glamorous. By that time, in the mid-2010s, the United States already had an aerial asset that no global adversary could challenge in the F-22. It was just beginning to introduce some new aircraft into service, the F-35, an aircraft where the Pentagon was still intended to go all in despite myriad problems, delays, and cost overruns. Enemy aircrafts were not the problem. Instead, the problem was the Air Force's long war against the Red Pen, wielded by America's own budget officers looking to tighten the country's belt after the Cold War concluded. America wasn't planning on any intercontinental world wars anytime soon, and as a result to cut...
No, because after the fucking second one, why the fuck would we want to have to fight another one? It was super fucking devastating, so why the fuck should we try another one?
Against programs like the F-22, the Air Force was projected to run low on air superiority fighters for a span of years and potentially even decades. Those programs were too expensive to restart once the US realized its misstep, and with the F-35 sucking funds out of any room where a Department of Defense official dared whisper its name, there weren't many other options. The Air Force could extend the life of some of its older F-15s for air superiority, upgrading their avionics and pushing their retirement date back, but that was nothing more than a stopgap measure, and one that American military leaders knew wouldn't be sustainable either. But over at Boeing, the longtime owner of the F-15 after it acquired McDonnell Douglas back in the day, the F-15 was already showing potential far beyond what America had achieved. The planes in question weren't going to the United States at all. Instead, they were going to Saudi Arabia and Qatar in the form of two advanced models that...
Well, the thing with the F-15 that's super fucking cool is that it's because of how it was made and all the development that went into it, is it's such a versatile plane. Like, the base model itself is just super fucking versatile. So, yeah, overall, unless it's unless you've upgraded it enough times, I would say it's not worth designing a new model and instead just upgrading what you already have. Like with the Abrams. I love the Abrams to death. It's my favorite fucking tank in the world. The only thing with the Abrams is at this point, it needs to be retired and we need to come up with a new base platform. Because we've upgraded it enough. It's a really old design, which, yes, proven, but I don't know, maybe not. Maybe we'll see more info coming in because when we gave them to Ukraine. So I know the new Abrams X program, which I'm pretty sure isn't really... I think the Abrams X is just a proof of concept. But it's kind of like the new Booker. What is it, the M10 Booker again? I want to say. The new one that the Army's rolling out is super fucking interesting because we haven't had something like that in a hot minute. A lighter tank with I think it's a 105 on it. You know, versus we never really had that. It was always just, I don't remember the last time we actually, like, modern wise, we had that. But I do think it's worth, like, yes, stealth is obviously a much needed thing, but you also need cheaper aircraft to offset that to fucking go and do the heavy duty shit that the stealth aircraft can't.
Built on the abilities of the initial F-15
without being
design
risked,
and rounded them out in a pretty major way. They were evolutions on the F-15E Strike Eagle, itself an immensely popular variant of the base F-15, and the new improvements were already impressive
is like
enough
my favorite version of the F-15.
Boeing had the designs, the world had better F-15s, America just hadn't bothered to procure them yet. Not only that, but shifts in thinking around American air superiority strategy led military planners to the conclusion that a new F-15 could have value and longevity all its own. Fifth-generation fighters are, generally speaking, really, really impressive pieces of hardware, and it's hard to invent a battle that they aren't able to win. But they're super
fucking nice, but
either.
Yeah,
using a more
exactly.
advanced
It's like what I was saying.
Fourth-generation fighters currently in America's arsenal, strategists envisioned a hybridized approach to air superiority, where a workhorse aircraft could fill all the roles that don't require bells and whistles like stealth technology or address threats that say the F-35 is too.
And for the Navy, that's what the F-18 is, the Super Hornet's doing right now. And I hope it continues to do so because I already did a video on it. It's my favorite fucking plane. But no, yeah, you shouldn't, like, I love stealth and all that, but you need a workhorse for this kind of shit. And let's hear what he's about to say.
Too slow to handle in an interceptor role or doesn't carry enough payload to manage.
Yes. payload is my main thing, because you can only carry, so unless you're going with like a B2 stealth bomber, unless you're going with a stealth bomber, then you can't carry enough payload for ground targets or anything like that. But then you get into the nitty gritty of, well, then you can't do intercept missions. And then it's cost effective whether or not to send in stealth fighters with the stealth bomber, that you need to make sure either one don't get detected. And, you know, you have to go through all that bullshit versus having stealth fighters go in, be the air cover, and just having your big fucking heavy dude or faster ones that if push come to shove, you could use as a fighter role. I don't think I said that very well, but I'm hoping you guys understand what I mean.
Far from a reduction in capability, a truly advanced F-15 or similar fighter would ensure that America could select the right tools for a given job, while at the same time offloading some of the nation's air superiority responsibilities onto a more affordable but still advanced alternative.
Yes.
If such a program could run
it's
in
a
a way
4.5
that
gen.
didn't get in the F-35
it's a 4.5
program's
gen.
way and didn't open the Pentagon or the Air Force to any more risk than they already faced, then it could be potentially a major boon to the future of the USAF. In 2018, after strategic analysis basically greenlit the idea of a combined 4th and 5th generation fighter fleet, the US Air Force began working closely with Boeing to discuss the so-called Advanced F-15 or F-15EX. It would be a two-seat model.
I love it, but every time I hear this, I think of the fucking one that, I think when rumors were first coming out about the F-15EX, that Ace Combat 7 released as a DLC. Because I bought it. Hold up, let me find it. Was it the X? Oh, here it is. Hold on. Let me put this up on the screen real quick. Where the fuck did I save it to? Oh, wrong folder. That's where I saved it to. This is what they designed for the game, which I really actually enjoy the look of it for the game. But it has the canards. It's honestly kind of like a fusion between an F-15 and like European style fighters with the front canards. I think I'm saying that right. But every time they mention the new upgraded F-15, this is always what I imagine, because this is the first like iteration that I saw someone do that's quote unquote a future F-15. Let's continue on.
They eventually worked out, given that Boeing was, by that time, producing exclusively two-seater aircraft on its current production lines. The program was set to be based in St. Louis, Missouri, where Boeing had a major plant that the US wanted to keep open in order to help spread around America's fighter aircraft construction capabilities. The Air Force picked out the new hardware and software systems it wanted to update the plane with, made improvements on the plane that Qatar and Saudi Arabia had been getting, and before long, Boeing's already working production lines were able to fly a prototype. That maiden flight took place in February of 2021, and 2 months later,
that is pretty fucking
aircraft
sexy.
got a name, the Eagle II. The first of
the fucking exposed like gold and shit on it is super fucking sexy. Like the non-painted paint, the no paint job actually looks pretty fucking sexy on that thing. I love it.
Line would be delivered to the Air Force before that Eagle II name was even announced, and joined by 5 other copies, it would perform flight testing at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida for months. The rigorous testing model saw some of the aircraft participating in war games, others fitted out with new.
Wait, hold up. I want to see into that cockpit again.
Flight testing at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida.
God, that's a modern looking cockpit. I can't be the only one. I really love the OG like dials and shit and all those looks, but this, fuck, this is a modern looking aircraft. Like all this, goddamn. I'm surprised there's footage of it and that it isn't technically classified. Damn, the pilot sits really fucking low, huh? Or is this the Wizzo? It looks more like the pilot, though. You have to fucking scoot up to try to fucking see over it to look front. Damn. Master caution. God, this looks sexy, though.
For months. The rigorous testing model saw some of the aircraft participating in war games, others fitted out with new and unique equipment pieces, and still more modified to fit better with the Air Force's internal requirements. It got its approvals, its validations, its certifications, and all the other practical stuff it needed, along with a few tweaks sent back to Boeing for future aircraft. By 2024, just 6 years after the program's conception and 3 years after its maiden flight, the F-15EX was assigned to the 142nd Wing of the Oregon Air National Guard, designated for future call-up into federal service with the U.S. Air Force. Its first
pretty
flight
fucking
upon
quick,
delivery
huh?
was flown by 2 crew, call signs Night and Wiggles, and brought
Night
back
and
down
Wiggles,
to
I love
earth
that.
amidst
I like
thunderous
Wiggles.
applause on the tarmac.
Yeah, let's look at the fucking specs on this bitch.
The Eagle II is a marked improvement on its progenitor, either holding consistent or offering better performance in just about every conceivable metric. Measuring 63 feet.
Holy shit. If it's the same or better in its testing, the F-15 was already a fucking beast. It was already considered the best fucking fighter jet because of its fucking, you know, whatever, its record. If this has better specs than it, this thing is going to be fucking like. So you had Hades in the original. This is like Thanatos. Like you have the god of the underworld, and then you have the god of death. This is death incarnate. Holy shit.
9.5 inches from tip to tail, or just under 20 meters long, it features a wingspan of 42 feet, 9.5 inches, or 13 meters. Even sitting empty, it's a substantial piece of engineering at 34,600 pounds, or just hair under 16 metric tons. Fully loaded, that weight will more than double to a maximum takeoff weight of 81,000 pounds, or 36.75 metric tons. It's powered by 2 General Electric F-110 jet engines and seats 2 crew members, a pilot, and a weapons system officer. On paper, the Eagle II boasts a maximum speed of Mach 2.5 at high altitude, equivalent to 1,650 miles per hour or 2,655 kilometers an hour. At low altitude, it still flies well past the speed of sound at about 920 miles per hour, it's 1,500 kilometers an hour. But in practice, it can go a good bit faster, especially unloaded, and it's never
non-classified, I should say. Non-classified. Everything is non-classified. Knowing the US, we tend to fucking understate our capabilities when it comes to this kind of shit. Unclassified. It goes that fast. Unclassified.
Exceed speed is as high as Mach 2.9. It features a combat range of 791 miles or 1,272 kilometers, while with external fuel tanks, it can fly across continents in one go, capping out at 2,400 miles or 3,900 kilometers. It features a surface ceiling of 60,000 feet or 18 kilometers, and altitude it can reach barely more than a minute. In training and test situations, the Eagle II was easily won drag race-style competitions against Strike Eagles and outclimbed.
This fucking plane is the god of death of planes. I fucking love it already.
Barely more than a minute. In training and test situations, the Eagle II was easily won drag race-style competitions against Strike Eagles and outclimbed and outmaneuvered models using similar airframes and engines. Pilots who've flown the Eagle II have confirmed.
So you're saying this bitch already fucking out drag races it, and then similar planes. So we don't even get a fucking actual tell on what other plane it can outturn and all that. This thing really is a fucking beast.
Its persistent ability to outrun the F-16 and the F-35. And then there's the question.
Wait, so it can outrun the F-35 and the F-16? It's fucking crazy. That's real fucking crazy.
Where the F-15EX is packing another level of heat. In addition to 12 external hardpoints, the Eagle II is capable of mounting bomb racks that increase its carrier capacity to an unbelievable 22 air-to-air missiles, 23 bombs, or a combination depending on the racks used for the job.
Jesus!
That's nearly a threefold increase over the missile count of the F-15C and D variants. The Eagle II can carry all manner of air-to-air missiles, including the AIM-260, a missile currently under development by Lockheed Martin and treated as the Air Force and the Navy's highest priority weapon procurement. It should arrive sometime in 2024. It carries several kinds of air-to-surface and anti-radiation
God, I fucking
missiles,
love the US. God bless the USA.
183 Arrow, a 6,600 pounds or 3 metric ton hypersonic missile currently on ice as the US decides whether or not it would like to fund the thing in future years. It carries not just small diameter.
The one thing Russia's constantly boasting about having a hypersonic missile, like the big new toy. And the US is just, yeah, we have one. We're just not sure whether or not we want to actually fucking fund the damn thing or not. God, that's such a fucking flex. I love it.
But the heavy bunker-busting Mark 84 outfitted with guiding equipment called the JDAM. It integrates modern, multimodal, all-weather radar, multiple options for an advanced targeting pod that features autonomous target tracking and identification, and a specially designed electronic warfare and countermeasure suite meant to keep it available in the heat of battle. Finally, it rounds out its onboard arsenal with an onboard gas.
God, War Thunder, like, it's hard to fucking tell whenever I play War Thunder, because that's like, they didn't have the missiles whenever I went to the air shows when I was younger. But these planes are a lot bigger than you would think. But War Thunder, it's very hard to remember how fucking big these missiles are. Like, holy shit. I forgot how actually, like, big they are. I forgot how big these airframes actually are. Holy shit.
Gatling cannon with 500 rounds of 20mm ammunition. All across the aircraft, it includes a wide range of upgrades and modifications over previous Eagle iterations. Its electronic warfare suite and its fly-by-wire control system are significantly improved over any and all other Eagle versions, and it brings 2 extra wing pylons to the table after previous fly-by-wire systems caused stability issues that required those pylons to go unused. Eagle II's refined wing structure extends its service life dramatically to 20,000 flight hours, enough to nearly triple the projected service lives of most global air superiority fighters, and projecting its usefulness outward to the next 80 years, potentially not retiring until the year 2100 or later. Its onboard process...
Dude, that's so fucking cool! That's so fucking cool. I love it. I love it so fucking much. That's such a fucking good big flex. Yeah, you know other air superiority fighters that are coming out? Yeah. We're gonna triple the lifespan, and it probably ain't gonna be fucking decommissioned until like 2100. That's such a fucking flex.
Mission computer, and its advanced large display inside the cockpit bring a level of technological integration to the pilot that most aircraft of the Eagle II's generation simply cannot match. It even carries specialized onboard sensors to help pick up on the presence of stealth aircraft, while the Eagle II may be able to integrate the Air Force's anticipated collaborative combat aircraft, an unmanned wingman drone. The Eagle II can perform both air superiority and ground.
Sorry, I kind of zoned out there for a second. But I zoned right back in when I heard him say unmanned wingman drone. I got to hear that again.
Eagle II may be able to integrate the Air Force's anticipated collaborative combat aircraft, an unmanned wingman drone. The Eagle II can perform both air superiority and ground attack roles, and its digital systems are designed in a way to ease the process of stacking on future upgrades and technologies.
I love it. This is the kind of love I want to see the Hornet get, the Super Hornet get. This kind of love, because I already know that the Super Hornet got extended more. This is the kind of love I love to see for these older planes that are already battle proven. If it's proven, don't fix what's broken. Just upgrade the bitch as much as you can. I want to see this happen to the Super Hornet. I think they're already more or less doing that, but still.
At the time of writing, the US Air Force hasn't yet brought the Eagle II into full operational status. As of now, the Air Force has taken possession of just 2 of the aircraft, with a total of 102 more on order from Boeing over the next few years. While their total fleet of 104 is relatively small, not even enough to phase out the 149 F-15C models, the Air
Okay, so a relatively small number. At the same time, I think they're more or less just trying to get a feel for it first before full-on committing, which is a smart thing to do.
Relatively small, not even enough to phase out the 149 F-15.
Okay, hold on.
The fleet of 104 is relatively small,
104.
not even enough to phase out the 149 F-15.
So we have 104 on order, 2 of which we already have. But over the next 2 years, they're coming. And we have 149 F-15Cs. Not bad. But we're probably gonna, honestly, the new one will probably end up getting rid of this. But the problem with comparing the two is both have different roles, as far as I'm aware. I'm pretty sure the C is more of a air superiority fighter versus a multi-role, like the E is, and the E2 is going to be. I believe. So there's that. Not to mention the C's, you don't have a Wizzo, which means you have to train more people for it. So I don't know what they'll do with the C. Maybe we're trying to see how the Eagle E2 will do, and maybe we'll do a fucking a C as well. Maybe we'll do another C variant of the same thing for just air superiority. I want to see why we would, considering it's already so much better than these, but maybe we're just waiting to see. That's what I would hope we're doing.
The Air Force still flies. It's not likely that the number of ordered Eagle IIs will stay static. The program isn't cheap by any means, but it's far less costly in real dollars than the F-35, and because of how quickly Boeing can push the aircraft out on a short timetable, they're likely to be procured in small follow-up batches from year to year using...
Yeah, I can see that. Also, another thing, it's probably a whole lot fucking easier to service than the F-35 as well. Like, yeah, it's cheaper to build and all of that than the F-35. That's well and good. But the real cost of the F-35 and the F-22 and shit is just the fucking service requirements. Like, I forget how much the declassified they were talking about on some fucking interview thing they were doing on the F-22, but it was something like, I want to say the F-16 is at least 24 hours of servicing for like an hour of uptime for it, or something like that. It's an insane number of service hours to keep it running for an hour. So you can think how bad that would be for the F-22, which is very specialized, and very classified, along with the F-35. And then you have this, which will be a whole lot easier to do. I would assume, anyway. So you got to think about it like that.
After the Air Force's big budget items have been accounted for. That procurement, as of now, hasn't been fully smooth sailing. After revisions were requested, the aircraft's front fuselage has undergone some modifications that have slowed down procurement. But those bugs are expected to be mostly worked out by now, and once they are, aircraft should start arriving in larger and larger batches. In its operational
That's fucking cool.
The first 150 or so Eagle IIs are likely to fill in for, and eventually phase out, the F-15C/D. Those aircraft mostly stationed around America's own national borders under the National Guard, along with squadrons in England and Japan and a small smattering elsewhere. Those airplanes were initially supposed to be replaced by the F-16, which, to be fair, is an elite multi-role platform, but when compared to the F-15, the F-16 simply isn't as elite in that air superiority role. The Eagle II offers not reduced, but improved air superiority capabilities relative to the aircraft it'll replace, and eliminates the need to service its aging predecessor. Not only that,
which is always a good thing.
Substantially improve the Air Force's ability to operate its bomb defense air fleet in a low-cost way, while making virtually no trade-offs to do so and accepting close to zero added complications or headaches in the process. Per flight hour, it's expected to cost just $25,000 to $30,000, a substantial improvements on the aircraft it will replace, and a major cost-saving measure.
Also, God, it was something like, it was a fucking horrendous number for the F-22 for an hour of flight time for the F-22. It was like over $100,000 or something like that for just a single flight hour. I want to say it was probably more than, it was definitely more than that, but I can't remember the actual number for it, but it's a fucking horrendous fucking amount.
Compared to America's 5th gen aircraft. And in terms of the ground support equipment it uses, the pilot training required, and the logistical chains to support the aircraft on base and in the fields, they're close to a direct copy and paste from prior versions of the Eagle. America's
yet again another super fucking great thing
is known to be elastic and can be ratcheted up to an output of several dozen per year, meaning that the currently projected drive to procure 104 of the planes could be finished by or before the decade's end. That's not to say, though, that everyone is a fan of the F-15EX, and in fact, the plane has drawn heavy criticism from a range of experts across the American defense world. Many condemn its lack of stealth capability, asserting that anything that cannot fly stealthily is a waste, and that all the...
I do not believe that. That is stupid to believe so, in my opinion. Is stealth useful? Fuck yes. Stealth is fucking amazing. But there are times where you have to be cost effective. Like, you have to be.
The Eagle 2's advanced capabilities will come to nothing if it can't hide its presence. It's vulnerable to Russia's S-400 missile defense system and likely to Chinese-made systems as well. And when it comes to the idea of a direct confrontation with either or both nations, some experts believe that it won't be able to do the job. National security reporter Mark Episkopos, writing for The National Interest in 2021, even titled one article on the aircraft, quoting here, "Boeing F-15EX, the US Air Force's biggest mistake."
That is... No, that is a very big... No, that I do not agree with this at all whatsoever. Because no one comes close to the US's fucking stealth capabilities. It doesn't come close enough. So, no, it's not.
Yet against expert skepticism has come international confidence, with both Saudi Arabia and Israel planning to either upgrade their existing F-15s to the Eagle 2 standard or to order their own versions. Egypt, Poland, Indonesia, and Thailand are apparently in the hunt as well. And while we certainly admit that those experts are correct to implicate the Eagle 2's lack of stealth technology, context matters, and the F-15EX would...
Yeah, you gotta think in the context of the fucking situation of what it would be used as. If it's gonna be an issue, do you know what happens? Then you wouldn't send in the F-22. No, that's air superiority. You would send in the F-35, which is a stealth multi-role. So you would send in the F-35 stealth to take out most of the, to soften up everything, and then send that shit in. It's not that hard to think of, is it? Like, you have to think on how they would be used in a situation. It wouldn't be... It's not like these are replacing the F-35 or F-22. No, these are supplementing already aging shit that we already have. This is the same kind of people who would bitch about how much we spend on defense, then bitch about the fact that we're not spending more money on a fucking stealth aircraft. That's 3 times as much more. 3 times as much.
Won't be operating alone. Integrate its capabilities to the US air fleet as a whole, and its efficacy begins to make a whole lot more sense. In combat, the F-15EX is indeed expected to be a stark contrast to its stealthy partners. It'll thunder into aerial dogfights and across contested or...
No, it's a muscle car versus an electric car. That's the difference between the two. It's like a Tesla Roadster versus a fucking 1968 or 64 Mustang. Like, yes, it will be loud, but it will also be fucking quick. It'll be a brawler. It's not meant to be fucking hidden. You send the other things in first to soften up, then you send these guys in. Or you send them in conjuncture.
Enemy territory with no attempt to hide its presence. Instead, the Eagle II is known to be highly maneuverable. It's clearly very well armed, and perhaps most importantly of all, it's explosively fast, capable of enacting a higher octane, higher thrust approach to combat than any other American fighter aircraft. Its onboard computers are so sophisticated that they essentially take direction from the pilots and make previously impossible maneuvers happen with a level of precision that not even the best human operators could match without digital assistance. With those new controls, the Eagle II is either on the edge of
there's a
or
reason,
is passed into fully super maneuver.
All these experts, it's like, yeah, sure, but well, no, I was about to say there's a reason why the military agreed to buy it. No, that's military has a fucking history about doing dumb shit, but I do not believe that this one is a bad decision. I do not believe that this one is a bad decision.
Maneuverable status, a level of acrobatic performance that no comparable aircraft can even hope to match. Boeing's promotional materials highlight the plane's capacity to attack from very long ranges using current technology, and the ability of its electronic warfare tools to make it stealthy by default, basically blinding the enemy rather than turning itself, so to speak, invisible. For the medium term, the Eagle II is expected to continue serving in its role of airbase and homeland defense, while aircraft that see frontline operation may also take on a primarily defensive role, enforcing no-fly zones, maintaining secured airspace in contested areas, and guarding over forward deployed American assets in the field. They may be used to deploy standoff weapons, particularly ones that the US is rather eager to try out in real-life engagements, once they're ready to use and the right situation presents itself. At present, it's not expected to be the tip of the spear when conducting offensives that require overcoming modern air defenses, although the right weapons loadouts for a group of Eagle IIs operating in concert might be able to do the job. Instead, it'll be more likely to serve as a second wave, following close behind Raptor or Lightning aircraft that can conduct precision operations to hamstring adversaries' defenses before thundering in and dropping its far greater payload on targets that were, in theory, defended. And as we mentioned previously, it's unlikely that this ongoing run of 104 aircraft will be the only F-15EX batch ever produced. If the aircraft's actual capabilities match up with its purported capabilities, then it'll bring tactical and strategic value all up and down the US Air Force, overcoming a sort of tunnel vision that's taken over the stealth-minded, 5th-gen focused Pentagon in favor of sleek, sophisticated utilitarianism. As time goes on and technology develops, it's unclear just what the Eagle II will be able to accomplish when paired up with more advanced aircraft. Some commentators have suggested that it may function as a weapons truck to support the F-35 or the F-22, joining them in contested airspace and pairing with their sophisticated battlefield mapping systems. With an F-35 or an F-22 flying ahead and marking targets, it's the Eagle II that may follow behind with the heavy firepower, making attack.
Yes, exactly, because I believe, I forget who it was. I may have seen that. I'm pretty sure I saw this. That's what the F-35 can do with the Navy, will do with the fucking Super Hornet. They will fly ahead, and because it's super sophisticated with both the missiles and the jet itself, the F-35 can find something and lock it or whatever, and slave the missile system to an F-18 miles away. F-18 can get a lock on it, and the F-35 will slave that missile's systems to its own and fire it with the F-18 being nowhere fucking near. So yes, they're thinking it's gonna fucking try to replace the F-35 when it
runs look easy against aerial adversaries or ground targets that thought they were well defended. As we mentioned previously, they may be able to work alongside loyal wingman drones, some of which may increase the Eagle II's weapons carrying capacity even further, while others may be able to act as stealth scouts and fulfill the covert responsibilities that the Eagle II can't do directly. As American ultra-long-range weaponry continues to develop, the Eagle II will be the most capable and nimble plane to be able to carry particularly heavy munitions, and at least in theory, they should be more than able to carry the large and heavy component parts that are expected to carry the first air superiority directed energy weapons, essentially lasers. The story of the F-15EX is not yet written. And until it has the opportunity to get a taste of real-world combat in all its iterations, it'll be impossible to truly pinpoint whether this plane is a major success, a major dud, or something in between. But at least on paper, the Eagle II is poised to offer a major improvement on every aircraft in the US Air Force in one way or another. It could do more and do it better, with better onboard systems than its fellow fourth-generation fighters, and it can operate faster, longer, with better and heavier weaponry, and in closer quarters engagements than the fifth-generation aircraft that technically outmatch it. And most important of all, it won't fly alone. Instead, it'll join the US Air Force as the tool that links all its disparate parts together. One part workhorse, one part linchpin, and proven to be reliable for the battles of today, while featuring a whole lot to offer for the battles to come.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, that was the F-15EX. Make sure you check out this video. Give them some fucking love because they definitely deserve it. Like and subscribe this video if you enjoyed and want to see more of me. And yeah, till next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.